Okay, welcome back. We're going to look at chapter 1.4 on the art element color. There's a lot to colors, that's why we're strictly covering it in one chapter as opposed to having other elements with it. So what is color? Let's concentrate on that last bullet point. It is the result of optical effects caused when reflected white light of the spectrum is divided into separate wavelengths. I always think of a prism. What you think of light going through a prism, producing a rainbow. I always thought this was neat. I thought y'all might find it interesting too, of people that have color blindness. And there are actually color blindness tests, and I won't spend that much time on this, but I would encourage you to check it out. Really on YouTube would be good. Now, color wheels are really helpful for artists, and I guess scientists use it as well, but basically they create what we call color relationships or a map. And here is the traditional 12-step color wheel for mixing color with natural light. We've got your primaries, which is yellow, red, and blue. Those three colors cannot be mixed by the other colors to be made. They have to first, those are the initial, that's why they're called primary. And then we have the secondary, which is where you mix a primary with another primary to produce the secondary. So red and yellow will create orange, yellow and blue creates green, and then blue and red create violet. Now the tertiary colors, they're created by mixing that secondary with one primary. So red and violet create red-violet. Let's just skip over here. Yellow and green. Yellow-green. Okay, so if you haven't ever tried layering your colors, the color pencil, you can actually only use the primary colors and you can create all those other 12 colors. I would just suggest if you try this out that when you use the yellow, you press down a little bit harder than you would with the blue or the red, because blue and red, the colors are just really darker. And anyway, if you have a heavier yellow, it will kind of balance it out. Let's see. Complementary colors. So if we were looking at that color wheel, which I can skip back up so you can see that real quick. The opposite of orange is blue. The opposite of yellow is violet. Those are complementary. So anytime you put complementary colors side by side, it's going to really grab your attention. Now the next color relationship is called analogous, and that means that the colors are actually beside each other on the color wheel. So if we go to the yellow green to the blue, those cool colors, those are analogous. They create harmony. And they don't really grab our attention as well as the complementary will. So in this, you have a really beautiful painting that uses in the sky complementary colors. We've got that greenish blue kind of teal with the red orange. It really stands out to us. It makes the skies just seem brilliant. And even in the background, there's that bright yellow light with a little bit of those purple mountains. So a very glorious looking painting that would definitely, grab the attention of the viewer by using the complementary lines. Analogous, like I said, are colors beside each other on the color wheel. So, you've got the yellow greens and the yellows with the blue and the light greens, and all of those kind of harmonize. But then the pink would not be analogous to the blue or to the yellow green, but she's kind of coddled by her mother, who's wearing this kind of light blue looking dress with a little bit of pink in it, so it kind of makes it all work together. But if you took your hand and you covered up the mother and her child, you'd see it's a really pretty consistent cool color analogous painting. Okay, so now what I want to show you is a monochromatic painting. Monochromatic means that they take one color and they mix it with white, which we call tint, or black, which is called shade. So here they have the blue, and the blue has been mixed with the white to lighten it up, or black to make it darker. So here's what that would look like. When you have a color, when you have a color, like you can see here in the black square, without tint and without shade, it is its most intense hue. It is that saturation is at its richness. But once you add tint or shade to it, as you can see here with the red, it loses that color intensity. It's not as, it's not as rich. Let's see. And as it says, sometimes described as saturation. Another word for saturation is chroma, and that's that color intensity. So here, that blue has pretty much been dulled down by the tint and shade. Okay, there's also color temperature, and in color temperature, it can communicate emotions to us. It can reach us at various levels. Now the example I have right here is not that intense, but I kind of picked it because of that. I thought it, something that's not overly obvious. But you would agree with me, I think, that the left is more cool color, and then the still life over here is more warm. And that's because of the oranges and the warm browns, and over here we've got the blues and the greens. There's also optical color, and this reminds me of the comic books I used to see in the 80s and 90s, but once you overlap these dotted colors, it can create from a distance. This one makes purple, and this one kind of makes a yellow-orange. Seurat would do that, but with painting. So he actually called this pointillism. It's like little tiny dots of color, and he would layer them to produce new colors and creating an optical illusion effect. Okay, and I think actually we're going to stop right there.